In today's episode of the ImanWire Podcast.
The Prophet ﷺ is the greatest guide. The further back you go, that's the most pure guide. But the most impactful are not the shuyukh who lived hundreds of years ago. They must be the best guides in terms of the purity of their teaching and everything. But the most impactful person is usually people who live with you. Practically speaking, yeah, because they show you how to navigate the things that exist today that didn't exist back then. So yes, Imam An-Nawawi is the most pure guide in terms of his works. But a person living today, a pious person living today, that's someone I can talk to.
Yeah, I just hit record and the Ghuydar start. Yeah. Not with a big...
We're going to give us 2 minutes. Me and Sidi Shadee, we're going to eat half a bagel.
Fair. Bismillah. You're going to start the introduction or you're going to start the introduction?
Yeah, start.
You know, look, Ghuydar, one thing I noticed, like, Bismillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. We've been having this conversation for a long time. Like, you see the Moroccans and how they do it in Shad, it's just like hadik. They just do it. The Syrians, mashallah, it's murattab. All this tartib. And so Ghuydar likes all the tartib. He likes everything to be in its place and space, which is a beautiful thing. But Ghuydar, you got to just... Khalli.
You realize we already started, right?
Yeah, okay.
So Bismillah, you said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Welcome to another podcast, the ImanWire Podcast. So, ahlan wa sahlan. We have a very special guest with us, in this episode, Ustad and dear Shaykh Shadee Elmasry, ahlan wa sahlan.
Hello, Zana. Thank you for having me.
Of Safina and NBIC, mashallah. You have a very reputable podcast too. May Allah bless you and bless your efforts and bless your family, Ya Rab. Sidi Moutasem, welcome. We have been a while not sitting together.
I know.
So as I was thinking of hosting Shaykh Shadee, I thought that him and I are two Jersey against one New York.
Gosh,
oh, you're originally from Jersey?
Yes. So we have a very easy kind of, but he has jiu-jitsu on his side. So
well, you know, I'm from upstate New York, and people always think I'm from New York City. New York City is like a completely different thing. But you guys do know that.
But we can still beat you. Two jerseys against one New York. We definitely.
First, I'll settle the pizza thing with you. I think you guys know we have better pizza in New York.
But is Albany actually New York?
It's the capital.
Why did they put the capital up there?
It is strange.
I don't understand.
It is a very different vibe.
Total different.
But growing up there was very, very nice because people who grew up, like we're out in the sticks. We're next with cows. We have the sun. We have the moon. We have grass. New York City just has buildings. It's a go, go, go sort of rush sort of attitude, which is kind of like Jersey.
Well, here's the thing. We should take the 5 boroughs, circle it, go down to, let's say, Princeton.
Right.
Circle Princeton. Yeah. And that's the new border. Right? From
You're going to get us in so much trouble.
From above, let's say, maybe 1 or 2 counties, maybe 3 counties up above Manhattan, circle it all the way down. And that's really, if you think about it, everything revolves around New York City.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
But I hated going to New York.
Really?
Oh my God. It was 2.5 hours away. Yeah. I mean, when you get used to living in like a calm, serene environment, and then you go into the city and as like, young high school man, I know it's exciting. Yeah. There's an exciting nature to it, but it was just too overwhelming. It's just too much.
When I was young, 5, 6, 7, it was extremely scary.
Right?
New York City was extremely scary. Like crossing the street.
You're talking about the late 80s probably, right?
Yeah, like as a kid, like you see so much traffic and crossing this the street was like a scary thing.
Yes, of course.
But it grows on you after a while.
Do you still go? Do you still visit often?
All the time.
See?
Yeah.
Me, I can't.
All the time.
I go in there, I'm like, get me out of here. There's something like, it's like constricting, I feel.
Yeah.
Right now, for most of us, like New York City is more like food tourism. Like you go to certain spots, halal spots.
I think that's accurate to say.
Yeah. And then like you just get out.
Believe it or not, Manhattan doesn't have a lot of halal spots. But there's more in Brooklyn and Queens.
You're right. Yes.
Well, there's a big Palestinian. I know there's a big Palestinian population there. Probably big also Desi population. But city life was never for me. Even coming to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is much more relaxed.
Yeah.
But there's a sense I feel of inshirah of the qalb, like this sort of expansion of the heart when you get to be out in nature. That's just sort of where I am. But there's men of Allah everywhere, and there's women of Allah everywhere.
Alhamdulillah.
Some in New York City, some in Albany. But we have better pizza in upstate New York than you guys do in New Jersey. So let's just
I never tried it. I don't know how many people have graded it upstate New York.
This is why it's the best, right?
No to say.
Yeah, no great to say.
Alhamdulillah. Actually, Shaykh Shadee, we were just talking before we hit record about, mashallah, NBIC, major fundraiser.
Yeah.
Moving towards a masjid.
The masjid's been open since 1985, 86.
Right.
And it was the phase 1 or 1.0, we call it, was a little pocket in Ramsey Ave. Believe it or not, we're only 9 years younger than ICJ, right? ICJ is the Jama Masjid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and it's a huge institution, 10 acres they got, I think, maybe 8, 9 acres. But NBIC was always just a little pocket, probably the width of this room almost, and maybe double this room that we're in. And then about in 2010 or 11, they started using a church for Taraweeh because they're packed out. And then finally they moved next door to that church in what used to be soccer fields. Went out of business. So we took that spot. Then I joined the year after that. And that was 13 years ago, 2012.
So I remember going in 1996, spending weeks with Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi. It was called Masjid al-Huda.
Masjid al-Huda. Yeah. Officially New Brunswick Islamic Center.
Yes.
But to people.
So this was back in the days, and no one really knew Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi at that time. I think Imam Zayd had invited him, and he was staying upstairs.
In an apartment.
In an apartment. And the downstairs was the prayer space, and I used to go there and just spend all this time with Sheikh Yaqubi. And this is when he was still learning English. He had spent some time in Sweden, and he came to the United States. And it was actually, I think it was my first introduction to like a traditional scholar. Traditional in all senses. And I was like, man, this is beautiful. Like, you know, what that school can produce. And so, subhanAllah, he wasn't married at the time. You know, he was still young. We had a lot of fun conversations together. We actually did a community cleanup with Sheikh Yaqubi around the masjid. It's like 96. I had just graduated high school.
So the spark plug, Imam Zayd founded it, but the spark plug who connected all these people to us was actually Hamza Yusuf.
Oh yeah, okay, yes.
He was actually the one who said, "All right, here's so and so, get so and so." Then he had there was Dawood Fricke. He did a lot of heavy lifting.
Dawood who was there. Yes,
he did a lot of heavy lifting, and he's the one who used to bring these shuyukh like Sheikh Abdullah Al-Qadi and these other shuyukh, and you could sense that they had a direction that you could really sense. And then they had who was today Sheikh Jihad Brown was also active.
Right.
And you could tell that they had a direction and that they were devoted to studying with these people, and that you could catch that. Whereas other masajid, the imam was sort of just like one of the people.
Yeah.
Not like one of the people as in humility versus theirs, but no one was studying with him.
Right.
People, you could tell they're flocking to open their notebooks to study with someone. And you could clearly see that versus when someone's just sitting around. So that's what was the allure?
Well, you know, it's having an intentional community. It's like even what we're trying to do in Maryland, I think what you're trying to do, mashallah, very beautifully at NBIC, what Sheikh Yasser is trying to do in prophetic living, what Sheikh Hassan's trying to do at Taysir, what Sheikh Yahya is trying to do in Maqasid is to like build intentional communities. And that's very different than a board-run community.
Correct.
Where a board just tells you what your direction is going to be because of whatever it may be. Yeah. No. You know, we need to have communities where the men and women of Allah who are trained through this spiritual and intellectual scholarly tradition try to take people from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And that's what Sidna Nabi alayhi did. And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Spiritual growth, intellectual growth. And, you know, that's why I always say that the utopian community is the prophetic community.
Yeah.
Because they went through all those crazy ups and downs. But that will produce something so much more beautiful than just another masjid with a lot of infighting
Yeah.
taking place. But it takes a lot of courage. Like you guys got lambasted when you started NBIC. I remember Sami Kadvik was telling me all these stories. People trying to shut you down.
Yeah.
You know? Even us in Maryland.
Yeah, 100%.
Like our Thursday Dhikr gathering, people are like, oh, let's start another gathering where we just invite people to a movie time so they don't go to the Dhikr gathering.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
It gets to that stage. Isn't that strange?
So the communal dhikr is something that has been, it's a fear that's out of place, that's been created. It's been created because feelings are created. Disgust, you can create and not create. There's actually books on the subject. A society, leaders of a society can literally create disgust in people over a subject by repeating same messages, whether true or false. It doesn't make a difference if it's true or false, but keep repeating those. And you can create disgust. You can create fear. So there's caution. There's extremes in caution too. Because if you say, okay, let's just be cautious, there's extremes in that too, because you can be closing a spout of benefit.
100%.
Right?
And a lot of what we experience in the West, as a community that's cultureless, like because we come from, traditionally Muslim, countries with lots of tradition and culture, but we come here and we kind of don't have it because a lot of it is basically from Pakistan, Syria, Palestine, etc. But when it comes to America, we're like, no, we're not delving into the Western culture because it's not Islam, and we're not creating our own. But then when we're faced with things like dhikr, they are viewed from the lens of worship, not from the lens of a cultural approach. And thereby, it's worship, then it's bid'ah. This is not what the Prophet ﷺ did. Thereby, like, it's not salah, it's not siyam, so just leave it alone. This is bid'ah. Then let's resort to another cultural expression, which is movies. Movies. We understand movies. We can just bring a halal movie.
That's ajib.
So why don't you view the Mawlid or Dhikr or anything else as a cultural expression?
Yeah.
Well,
And that will lift a lot of the haraj and the epistemology of things, if you will, to make it into a different lens.
Yeah, but that's even a layer you need to get beyond. You see, look, your gatherings of the Dhikr of Allah in NBIC, our gatherings of the Dhikr of Allah in Maryland. You probably have countless numbers of stories about how people have been transformed coming together for these gatherings, don't you?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And then they take it back to their younger siblings.
Yes.
Like most of our best guys are the younger siblings of the first round.
And they probably bring in their parents, and they bring in their cousins, and they bring in their friends.
So the 2015 guys, that crowd, it's almost like a team that has youth coming up, right? You have youth and veterans at all times, right? Then the youth become veterans. But so much of our best guys who are doing serious heavy lifting, when I look at them, I'm like, SubhanAllah, they're all younger brothers of the first wave of guys.
Because the dhikr of Allah has an impact. Like, you just have to allow it to shower upon you. Like, we have people who have come in, including myself. Let's take ourselves, for example, like, no one is deprived of being tested with baggage in life and issues and thoughts and ideas. And then you come consistently to the remembrance of Allah consistently, that polishing starts to have an impact on you. Yeah. And then what I've noticed and seen in my own life, you probably have in yours, and I've seen in others that have come regularly, it turns their life right side up. Means that there's a inflection point where all of the baggage is like, it's like thrown up, and you got to stare at it. And you're like, what do I do with all this? Yeah. As we say, now you clean up. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. It brings peace to the heart, but that's where it has to get all that stuff out. And so I'm like, why would you deprive yourself of this? So in Maryland, what we do in Maryland is like, we make it very, we try to make it very easy entry. You come in, it's a word of the Quran al-Kareem. It's a litany of the reading from the Book of Allah. It's a litany of prayers upon the Prophet ﷺ. It's the dhikr of La ilaha illallah. It's dua. Starts Salat al-Maghrib, ends with Salat al-Isha. Come. That's it.
We one of the things about it is that we're a public masjid.
Yep. Oh yeah, different than us right now currently. Yeah.
So other places are like, they're closed institutes. You wouldn't even know about it unless someone told you.
You got the invite. Remember those days, Shadee? You remember like being at a conference and getting a secret?
Yeah, you get the secret invite afterwards.
I used to get so angry.
Yeah. My dad used to say, if it's so good, why don't you do it in public?
You know,
You know what? I will do it in public, right?
Listen, I don't want to digress, but that attitude used to get me so angry. And it gets me, because I used to get the invites.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, ma hada.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Like, why does this have to be secret? Oh, no, don't tell anyone it's in this. I'm like, tell everyone.
Why don't you have courage? Have courage. Don't be slimy and do stuff on the side. One of our things, because Zaytun Institute was the place to be at one point, but it was a very small and almost like you said, invite only operation. But then you had the London Central Mosque.
Yes. You lived out there.
Yeah, I lived it. You've been there, right? Like that's like the Ummah of London. You see it in that mosque. Then they have one in East. The East London Mosque is different because they do have like almost like a philosophy of how to run.
Right.
The London Central Mosque is just in a building.
It's
right?
like
everything is there.
Yeah.
And there was actually so much good because you don't know who's going to walk in the door.
Right.
So I felt I want to actually combine these two. What Zaytuna was an intentional learning community that had beliefs, that had leaders, that had, this is how we live, these are the books we study, this is why we believe it, we're going to discuss it and learn it and all that stuff. London Central Mosque is a complete open, just all open. There's complete chaos, but there's some blessing in the chaos. Now, what happens if you were to take, let's say, the old Zaytuna Institute and say, all right, now you're in charge of London Central Mosque.
Yeah.
Right?
You have a direction.
Yeah. Now you have direction and you have so many strangers to test your theory too.
Yeah. Yes.
Think about this.
Yeah. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
They test your theories, your ideas. And number two, they're going to benefit.
Yeah.
People walk in, and the masjid we have, like, people just walk in, strangers walk in, and you have to prove your theory to them every single time they walk in.
Yeah.
And by theory, I mean your opinions that you came up with, that you said, this is what's good for the ummah. You're going to be tested every single time someone walks in. You got to actually convince them. So that means you're going through iterations of ways of convincing people, and you get better at it.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you end up saying, look, this is the policy here. We do dhikr out loud in times where people don't pray, because you're not allowed to disrupt people in salah. And they're on those times are on the calendar. What's the difference between that and a talk?
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
If someone's giving a big talk, you can't pray either, right? You're distracted from salah. So we try to do it in times where no one's going to do salah because we don't want to distract them. But we after years, and people have been worried about it. Now 15 years almost have passed. We're almost together about 15 years.
Yeah.
So the question is, what happened? Anyone gone astray?
Yeah.
Is anyone swallowing swords or trying to swallow fire, walk on coals?
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Yeah. In fact, so much of the good that's happening in the broader community can trace back to this majlis.
What is dhikrullahi? Talk about it. You cannot deny it. Yeah.
The same people who were against this thing and had come and formed like a type of intervention.
Yeah.
Right. And we stayed steadfast with it. They have no issue. Yeah. They may not attend, no problem. They don't attend, but they don't have an issue with us. And they don't have an issue with us coming in their masajid and talking in their masajid. So time has proven to the public that a lot of benefits come out of this and no harm.
Yeah. And I would say the greatest benefit for anyone out there who partakes in gatherings that are truly for Allah is the self-transformation. Like that's what it's really all about, right? So Allah sends these amazing prophets, and our Prophet ﷺ to take us again from one stage of being to another. So you have, where do you learn how to do that? Where do you learn how to look inside and question yourself, question your intents? Is this hawa? Is this, just me being more impressed with my opinion? Like, where do you even wake up to that consciousness? And the only place you can wake up to the consciousness of the I and the me is when you enter into his realm, subhanahu, where it's about him. And then you realize, wait, hold on, I'm actually been the biggest problem in my growth curve. So when you come into these gatherings of the dhikr of Allah, it starts to open up that understanding in your heart. And that's why I would say, like, it's the greatest harm someone can do to themselves is not coming to these gatherings of the dhikr of Allah. But, everyone makes their choice.
The stuff that happens to people makes them like porcupines in different ways.
Yeah.
And you're spiky. Your personality's spiky because of the baggage that's on the inside.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're going to just say, I'm going to change my behavior. You're going to say, why do I behave like that?
Right.
That's what you said, that you have a internal baggage. Eventually, you're going to vomit it out and see it, analyze it, and then clean it up.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you can only do that if you're replacing it with something, which is the example of the Prophet and the stories of the awliya.
Right.
People say, I only need the Prophet, peace be upon him. But also, why did Allah create Sahaba?
Yeah.
It's because people also like to see fallible people like themselves succeed. That's the proof that the Prophet's medicine works and his tarbiyah works. So when you look at all these stories, you have someone to be like now. We have a lot of, and one time I said this and people misunderstood it, but it was actually very clear, but people sometimes want to misunderstand things. The Prophet ﷺ is the greatest guide. The further back you go, that's the most pure guide. But the most impactful are not the shuyukh who lived hundreds of years ago. They must be the best guides in terms of the purity of their teaching and everything. But the most impactful person is usually people who live with you. Practically speaking, yeah, because they show you how to navigate the things that exist today that didn't exist back then. So yes, Imam an-Nawawi is the most pure guide in terms of his works. But a person living today, a pious person living today, that's someone I can talk to.
You know, someone misunderstanding that is someone who never had the benefit of a suhba al-salihah with a Shaykh. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
You know, Shaykh Shadee, look, you and I, by Allah's rahmah, and I'm not saying this, I've had suhba with Shaykh Mukhtar and Shaykh Muhsin Najjar for 25 plus years of my life. You will not understand the concept that you're saying unless you've had a suhba with the men of Allah right now to understand what that means.
That's
because they're inheritors of this reality, and they're the ones that are moving you through. 100%. Yes, I've benefited absolutely, no doubt, from Sidi Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, from Shaykh Ahmed ibn Ajiba, min as-Sada al-Kiram. But reading a book is nothing like a Shaykh taking you by the hand or taking you by the ear.
Right.
You know? And even, you know, subhanAllah, we were in Turkey with the great alim, Sheikh Muhammad Awama. And I remember Dr. Rajab had done a symposium in honor of Sheikh Muhammad Awama and all the books that he wrote. And so Sheikh Muhammad, Hafidhullah, he gets on the microphone and he says, the greatest legacy and the impact on my life has not been the books I've written, nor the books that I've read. They have been the suhba that I've had with my mashayikh, in particular, Sheikh Abdullah Sirajuddin and his other Sheikh, which will come back to me, Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda. He said, my whole life can be summarized in the suhba that I had with these two men. And so you need that, you need that. Where do you find people like this? You're going to find them, by and large, in the gatherings of the remembrance of Allah.
Well, the Habaib used to say that Majalis with Dhikr is a place where the common folk come and can sit with the shuyukh. And the reason is that they're not going to come to durus. They may come to a wa'adh, a story here and there, but classes they don't come to. And it was Sheikh Abdul Uthman Danfodio who said that the qasidah is the lesson of the ammi.
That's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. That's very beautiful.
He's not going to read a book, but he'll sing a song.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah, and that's why if you look at the qasidahs of Al-Busiri and the
qasidahs are poems for everyone. Yeah.
If you look at these works that are recited, they're texts.
Yeah,
this is an educational thing. It's not just words that are said. It's educational.
Right. It's actually a very interesting concept you bring in, Sheikh Shadee, because you know, as somebody who, you know, recites, you know, some qasaid at certain majalis and gatherings, I always felt that I'm doing a service on one end and a disservice on another end, because I only sing in Arabic in Western circles, which may or may not apply to everybody who is attending dhikr. Of course, in and of itself, the dissemination of the qasidah that's glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that's praising the Prophet ﷺ, there's of course that dimension of khair and blessings and barakat. But then there's that dimension that you mentioned and that Sheikh Uthman alluded to, which is deriving the benefit to the layman through these values and lessons and things that are embedded within the qasidah. Yes, you can translate, but it becomes like a task, so to speak, that's not natural. So I always wondered how I can get myself to get past that. And I don't have an answer to it. I'm just, I guess, airing out right now.
Well, that's I always think about that too. But, culture, no one person drives a culture, and culture cannot be driven by force. There should be no takalluf, because culture is something that we all do because we find it easy, beneficial, and good. Like the food we eat, the clothes we wear, all that stuff. And we like it. That's part of the benefit. It pleases you, makes you happy. Culture develops through that. And we could see that there is a problem, but it can only be solved by someone naturally, willingly doing it. And if he naturally loves it, that love will be contagious. So the day someone comes and does dhikr gatherings and qasidahs with English, if he is really good at it and is passionate about it, it'll spill over.
Yeah, absolutely.
It shouldn't be forced. Culture cannot be forced.
Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes there are superior cultures that dominate over other things because they're superior. I mean, I always noted that the cuisine of the ummah is Desi cuisine, because wherever you go to Mecca, their cuisine is there. Wherever you go, that cuisine is there because it dominates over other cuisines. Likewise, when Arabs come or Desis come to America and there's no Islamic culture, whatever's powerful, whatever people like, it's going to dominate until you mold it with the people's current culture. Yeah. And it's going to happen over time. You remember the cultural, what was it called? The
cultural imperative.
Yeah. You can't force it. My personal thing, you cannot force it. Just do it. Yeah. If you're really good at it, you'll convince us, and we'll love to do it too.
Yeah.
Right? But, whether it's clothes or song.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for us, we have a spiritual culture that sort of guides us in all of these realities. Because again, if you look, depending on which masjid you go into, though, this one's a bit more Arab, this one's a bit more Desi. It all has its pockets of culture. But if you look at us and our kids, what's their culture? At the end of the day, they're American kids who have a spiritual identity, and that spiritual identity is attached to the beauty of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Do I look at my son and say that he is culturally Arab? Would you say that about yours?
No,
not at all.
Not at all. It's a history thing.
Yeah,
there's only a few things that like a sieve, you put it in the sieve.
Yeah.
There's a few things that came out the other side, a few foods.
There you go.
A few expressions.
Yeah.
I could tell you something, guys. They can be what's the word? The temperament can be Arab.
Palestinian families.
He's an American. He talks. But
true.
The temperament is like really Palestinian.
And that's why I would say, this: the American culture has a lot of good. There's a lot of khair to be picked up. The way that it's going right now, there's a lot of challenges. And you even see within the states, people fighting back against those challenges on different extremes. But, there's a lot of good. And so for me, it's not about my children maintaining their Palestinian Arab culture. Yes, they know that they're Palestini and the matters of the Ummah matter to them. But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
They live and were born in the United States of America. And so that's where we are. But, Shadee brought something up. I want to take you down memory lane. You brought up when Zaytuna was started. I don't know if people remember, but there was an intentional master plan. Yeah. And that was the starting of Ni'mah. That's where Shaykh Yaqubi was. Nawawi, Zaytuna. And was there another one? There was another. So Dr. Umar was up there. It was supposed to be out there in Chicago. Yep. And then Zaytuna was supposed to be out there in California.
Oh, there was Dean Inc.
Dean Inc. In Florida.
No, in Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
That was Imam
Yes.
Dean Inc.
And then and so the idea at that time, this is what we're talking about the mid or late 90s, early 2000s, was to establish what they were calling these traditional communities to help counter a lot of that Salafi da'wah that was happening all throughout the United States. But it didn't,
it was unfortunate because we were coming up in a time where that master plan, we thought we'd be a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it was serving the communities and the people. Right. And then things pivoted in weird ways.
It did because, the way at least I view it, one of the main factors why the anti-culture expression of the Salafi movement in the West has lost its footing is because of the massive engulfing of the social media that's inherently culture, basically in all different facets of life being just delivered to you, whether you like it or not. And they lost that battle. But then we couldn't counter the cultural production, if you will, or culture production with anything, other than what we just expressed, in certain traditional circles. And that also brings me, Moutasem, to some of the issues that you maybe encounter when people come to you. Like even starting from our own children, like how do we equip our children with expressing their own personalities and culture? Because we seem to be unable as individuals to give them something. Like, wait a second, I can't give them, like I can't give them something that is Circassian or Syrian because that's in my past. And it's not here. It cannot be applicable. If I try to do it, I will look even more like Ammo, more like an old dad who doesn't know what. And if I try to do something else that's Western, that's not given, homage to my, tradition and deen, and trying to connect them to the Prophet ﷺ. Where is the happy medium?
Well, let me start. I don't think Salafism went bye-bye because of anything very complicated. Actually, I think it went bye-bye for something very simple. Like I remember being here in Northern Virginia in the 2000s and going to Dar al-Arqam on a Friday night. Dar al-Arqam, where Ali Tamimi was. He was teaching there back in the days.
Dar al-Hijra.
No, Dar al-Hijra, but then they had Dar al-Arqam.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And so Dar al-Hijra was the masjid. Dar al-Arqam was a place where a lot of Saudi mashayikh would come. Ali Tamimi was teaching there as well. And there was like very Salafi, Wahhabi sort of da'wah happening there.
Yeah.
And I remember going there on a Friday night. It was crazy. Imagine like NBIC filled with like 200, 300 young guys and girls.
Wow.
I was like, this is incredible. High schoolers or guys in college. But the nature of the Salafi da'wah, as we all know, is it's not very inviting in its nature. If you're a Salafi yourself for a long time, I don't want to juxtapose these words, but there's a lot of anger that can be there. You know what I'm talking about.
Actually, what it does to the baggage, it inflames the baggage.
It inflames the baggage, yeah. You get angry at the world, angry at yourself.
Yeah.
You're always telling people they're doing something wrong. You're always criticizing. Like that sort of energy is a lot of negative energy within your heart that just starts to implode.
Yeah.
What happened to a lot of these people? Because they're the ones that used to fight with me all the time in college. They had to get IT jobs. It's really simple. And they're working with Jessica.
Yep.
And they're working with Vivian.
They work in QA, right?
Yeah, they're working QA. And they're doing this. And they're doing that.
You can find
literally what happens. And then they get married. And then they have kids.
Yeah.
And they got to change the diapers. Right? And all of that anger is not working. And all of that, like rough, it needs to be this way. It needs to tell that to your 2-year-old kid. Yeah. Tell that now he's not 2 anymore.
Now he's 14.
He's 14.
Yeah.
And now he's into the XYZ movement, right? And so you realize like that what you were trying to force upon them isn't working. Yeah. Practically is not working. So you realize, man, what do I do with this thing in my life?
Because it was anti-culture in a sense.
It was anti.
Yeah, it was your tradition is when you take something that starts and then you have to make sure it works every generation. Yeah. Think about this. Would there ever be a bigger bid'ah than moving the khilafah from Medina to Kufa? Yeah. That was a radical thing to do. The Sahaba were not just mimicking. Yeah. The Prophet created leaders. You know that you understand the principles of the deen and the purposes of the deen and some of the red lines of the deen. Now make it work. Sayyidina Umar, he had a lot of new things that he brought.
Yeah.
He was the first person to give gold gifts to someone who memorized Al-Baqarah when he saw the youth aren't memorizing. Right? The youth have lost interest in the deen because it's the dominant culture now in Iraq. So the youth are growing up, they're not caring. Yeah. Tradition is finding solutions. And these people are saying, no, we got our own, we're not going to do any of this stuff.
Exactly.
It's all wrong. Your forefathers did this to find solutions within the parameters of the religion. You want to go against it? Actually, you're helping because you're going to prove the point when you burn out, which always happens.
Exactly. It doesn't work. And then you're stuck trying to find, well, what is the other solution? And so that's why I think, for me, from what I've seen, that's why that da'wah just simply, doesn't work. It's very simple. They had to change Ahmed's diapers. That's it.
So back to the teenagers now. Back to the teenagers. What do we pass on? What is the baton that we're passing down? That to me is always.
I think the baton to me is when I deal with teenagers is they have to study. They have to. There's a baseline everyone must know in a good community, right? So like we try to really like insist that everyone's got to know certain things. Like that's literally the definition of Islam. If you don't know these things, then we've done wrong to you. Now, whoever wants to go further, you should go further. But also, I always tell them, you have to come to Dhikr night because you're going to get washed. I know the garbage and nonsense you're seeing at university and high school and on your computer and on your phone all day and all night. Like we're not unaware of that.
Yeah.
But there's a place to get washed.
Yep.
And dhikrullah for 1 hour, guarantee you'll never remember Allah for 1 hour. You don't do. People need trainers. People need coaches.
Absolutely.
In everything.
Yeah.
In spirituality, you need trainers and coaches.
Absolutely.
And when you're training in soccer, you can play soccer and do drills for 2 hours, sweating, everything, only because there's a trainer and there's 30 other guys having fun doing it.
There you go.
Which is the
And you're
concept,
going to hang out afterwards.
Yep.
which is, there you go, the concept of suhba as well.
Yeah, it's a suhba.
Like being together in a certain group, and even that 1 hour of dhikr, you have 5 other guys with you that will help you on the khair, when you depart from that 1 hour, because the rest of the week you're going to be with somebody, but you're not going to be at dhikr. You're going to be in school, university, at work, whatever it is that you're doing, in the gym. So
look, a soccer coach doesn't say, hey guys, we got a game Sunday. I need you all to run 5 miles a day, Monday through Thursday, right? And then we'll just work on the drills. Yeah. And we'll study the playbook. No, he wants to see the plays being done. Why? Because human nature, you're not going to do it by yourself.
Yeah. In MMA, Coach Sean, you get into the MMA gym, he's like, we're not going anywhere until you give me these 200 Muay Thai knees. He's like, I got all day. And he just sits there. He's like,
we want to see it.
We want to see it. But, for my boys, look, we all have an equation. For my boys, the first thing is instill in them is like absolute love and reverence for the men of God.
Yeah.
Before anything. That means in their particular lives, Shaykh Mukhtar, Shaykh Mohsen, Shaykh Hassan al-Ashab. I say, you see them, you kiss their hand, give them a hug, you speak quietly. Why? Because I want them to know that there are men of God on this earth and that we have to have a loving reverence to them for what they are and who they are.
Living men.
Not
people in the books.
They know the books. They know Dad is infatuated with Sidi Ahmed ibn Ajiba. They know Baba's infatuated with Sidi Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. They know our love for Sheikh Muhyiddin. They know that, and I speak to them about that, but no, living men. And I talk about them often and making sure that they actually connect and see them, and the men connect with them as well. That puts something in their hearts. Number 2, it's the suhba. Like, you have to be in these gatherings of the dhikr of Allah because it has impact on them. And I would say the other 2 things with them is that they have a Quran teacher and they have to do a wird of Salah on Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam every day of their lives. Outside that, the ulum, the Islamic ulum, to me, they'll get there. But I want their foundations of where their heart is and where their trajectory to be soft enough that they're ready to get into that ulum of aqidah and fiqh and this sort of stuff, which just recently they've been sort of moving into. But if I felt I entered them through that door, I didn't feel the land was tilled enough ready for them to move
Otherwise,
into it.
It's going to vomit out anyway.
Exactly.
Like a rock. You're pouring water on a rock. It's not going to work.
So Shaykh Shadee, have you seen when people come to you like with their teenagers' problems and they're like, Shaykh Shadee, please save my teenager or whatever. Have you seen what Moutasem talked about to be a good kind of primer? Have they responded? Like, what are some of the things? Because some other folks tell you like, oh yeah, they have to go to therapy. They have to do this. They have to do that. They have to, let's say, how do we, if I were to think about what Sidi Moutasem is saying, this is good in the natural way of bringing up children. But how do we deal with, let's say, ailments, addictions, and other things? How do we battle things from a spiritual level?
When a college kid comes with issues and he has the will, then the group and the meetings of the group, all of our things that we do together, and Dhikr is only one of them. There's a lot of other things we do together. It's a curing process that happens, and people they get better. But if a dad comes with this kid who doesn't want to do this, I don't encourage that. So like, this is not the way things are done. He has to have a will of his own, and he's now 14 or 15 or 16. He's got to have some will from himself. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And mostly, it's not a religious problem you have. You didn't know how to parent.
There you go.
Parents have to understand there's something called a nafs, and your kid has one. As cute as you think he is, right? He has a nafs. It doesn't, and even at 3, 4, 5 years old, he's not an immoral. There's no such thing as an immoral 4-year-old, but there is a nafs, and you can save yourself and your kids so much trouble in the future if you're aware of this point and you don't keep feeding the wrong side of your kid. We ourselves have a nafs, right? We have to not feed the bad side and feed the good side. So likewise, toddlers, kids have nufus, and you cannot feed the bad side of it, or else it will just keep growing so slowly. You have a monster at age 8 that you can't control.
Yeah, I mean, the spiritual purification process, at least having that dialogue within the home and knowing what it is and having a blueprint for it is so important, because it becomes the exchange between the husband and the wife and the kids, right? Like, so what was just discussed now is like, do you even know this dialogue? Do you even know what your nafs is, what your ruh is?
Yeah.
Do you know that there's diseases of the heart? Do you know what hawa is? Do you know what shuh is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what greed is? Like, that's me displaying greed, and what do I have to do with it, right? So just so same way, if I had some nasty rash on my leg and I would run to take my kid to the doctor and try to get it checked out and pay whatever I have to for the medication, there's nasty rashes that we all have in our hearts, and we're just allowing them to grow and fester. And look, in terms of like, how do you deal with your teens? People are under this conception that your kids aren't going to come and have problems. They're going to have problems. Stuff happens in life. They get tested. Allah tells us in the Quran, that's what life is all about. But even if you have an addiction, what is it? Alcohol Anonymous, right? What do they end up doing? They all go to a jama'ah, a suhba of people.
And they talk about submission.
Yeah, exactly.
They submit to a greater power.
And it's amazing, like, we're willing to do it when it comes to that sort of stuff, or when it comes to like, other things in life. But when it comes to our spiritual growth, we're not willing to submit in that regard. Who are you to tell me? And this is the importance of having in your lives a saintly scholar. And when usually, it's funny when I say that, people think about these images on the internet of these men who are just like thieves and have taken money from people. And that's not what I'm talking about. You'll know the real deal, the real men and women of Allah Azza wa Jalla. They exist. Allah has informed us that they exist, and you can meet them. And so when you connect to them and you get nurtured under them, you meet a whole new circle of friends.
Yeah.
It's a new family that just take you on. I'm sure if you go to NBIC and you connect with everyone who's regular at the Dhikr circles and the Over Ilm programs at NBIC, you're going to meet a whole new family of people that through that family, you're going to start to find healing yourself, and your kids are going to start to find healing, and things 1% a day are going to slowly get better. You come and become part of Al-Madina and the structure that we have, you're going to meet hundreds of people who, some of them probably went through the same circumstances that you yourself are going through right now, who are going to help you grow. So, this attitude that there aren't solutions out there, we can't find them. No, we just need to, there are people that will take their teens and move to other states just to put them in high schools or to put them in colleges. They'll uproot their whole lives for their education.
Yeah.
Do you know of this, Ghuydar?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll do that for their education. But how about their spiritual education?
Yeah, the early ones used to say, the fuqaha used to say, it's forbidden to move to a town that doesn't have a faqih. Yeah. When they say faqih back then, he was a murabbi too.
Yeah,
he was the imam, the full thing.
Again, إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء بالله. This is not just someone, those that have reverent awe and fear of Allah. Allah tells us in the Quran, or the scholars. This is not just someone who's memorized data. Actually, the first person that gets flung into the fire of hell is a scholar.
Yeah.
Because he had a spiritual disease in his heart. And so, this is another topic, to delve into, but Allah's talking about a scholars billah. They combined al-ilm wal-amal, and they knew how to, number one, move themselves on this path and help move others. Yeah. And so every one of us, if you're listening to this, you need those individuals in your life. And how do you know you're connected with a real one and not a fake one? Look at the track record. if you see that individual, before people invest,
Yeah.
they study.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Is this the real deal? Is this fake? Am I going to lose my wealth? Well, you don't want to lose your akhirah.
Yeah.
So
100%.
look at that individual. Has there been constant fitan and problems and all this crazy stuff around them? Or have the people that have been with them from day one are still with them 30 years later? Right. And is it growing? What's happening? What's going on? And so then you know that there's more of a trust pattern there, and I'm going to connect to that group. And then when you do it slowly. Dip your toes in.
Yeah.
Don't drown yourself initially. Make sure you're comfortable and keep going from there. They exist, and we cannot survive without a suhba, a salihah, with the men and women of Allah Azza wa Jal.
But that's what we're bringing to America too. Like that's their dawah.
Yeah.
Because the America's lost communities. They don't have communities. Their communities are now radical movements on both right and left.
Absolutely.
If you want a sense of community, that's what you have to join.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
Something crazy. And that's not what it's about.
You either have to nowadays. You either have to be hard on the left, and you're in with all of their ideas, or you have to be a crusader in suits and skirts.
Yeah.
On the right, and there's the people who have common sense and brain in the middle. Sort of don't have.
They don't have a space in place.
Anymore.
Yeah.
You notice?
Yeah. Did you watch at all Patrick Ben David? This guy.
Yeah.
I want to chit chat with you because PBD. He's such an interesting guy.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to. I've got so many random feelings about this man. But I felt was doing very good work.
Yeah.
And then when he sort of connected with the Trump administration as of late, he became very anti-Muslim. Like his crusade now, ever since Tate became a Muslim, is how do I undercut Islam?
Yeah, he's a crusader in a suit.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
But the thing I respect about him in some regards, at least he'll admit it.
Yeah. He's open about it.
He's open about it. He doesn't hide it, which I'm like, you know what? At least that's a good thing because he's out there saying, listen, why is Islam the number one growing religion? And I want to understand what they're doing because he's a business guy.
Yeah.
That we can sort of bring into our realm
all
as
these
well.
Guys, this whole wave is going to crash in a few, maybe 10 years or something. The Christianity, it's an identity. It's an identity with very few tenets, essentially. This whole crusaders in suits and skirts, it's mixed, number one, with Americana, old 1970s, 80s, 90s type of nostalgia for what white America.
That's a good point. What it used to be,
what it used to be.
Yeah.
So it's driven by the elder folk for that purpose, and it's which is weird because Christianity in America have nothing to do with anything, right? Jesus was not a white European, but in any event, it's common sense and normalcy is on their side because the left has gone so often crazy that common sense and normalcy is their thing now. If you achieve that, you've achieved it.
Yeah.
And then some sentiments about, the universe has a creator, and those are good sentiments and good ideas. But beyond that, you don't have there's nothing to do beyond having a few beliefs, a few points, and so it's not going to last. And the Crusaders before them had far more ammunition, far more support, and failed. And this thing's going to fail too. But it's an antidote to the left, which has gone way too far.
Yeah, and one thing, when I watch him, I don't know if you ever have these feelings too. Like, where are you see Candace Owens?
Yeah.
You see what's his name? Nick Fuentes. Yeah. You see, oh my God, Yani, if this guy who I'm about to mention can get a following, then any human being can get a following. What's his name?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
No personality, no nothing. Yet he's got all these millions of followers on YouTube. Where's the young Muslim male like that or female who can do this in the YouTube space as well?
Well, we do have some people who are being followed on social media, YouTube and whatnot, but they tend, one of the pitfalls is that some of our Muslim personalities, they tend to be like those individuals that you're mentioning, at least in tactics and approach, but Muslim. So we are Islamizing the approach of these individuals, either on the Christian side or on the nationalist side, or however you'd like to have it. But we don't have a genuine approach, to gather. Like we're creating the next Andrew Tate, but with a little bit more of a nuance, a little bit more of a, I guess, mainstream acceptability. What you're mentioning, Dr. Shadee, is not, to me, something that is being thoughtful, at least in the general sense. I mean, we have the ulama, but we don't have a lot of thought leaders. We don't have a lot of influencers in the positive sense.
I see a lot of these guys have huge backings.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, they do.
They're not all of them are so amazing in themselves. But when you have 10 researchers, right, and you have a structure and an executive who's going to guide you along to how to build a channel that's so huge, you could do a lot. Sure. So that these guys have the infrastructure behind them. They have backing behind them. And he's going down, by the way, Ben Shapiro. He's lost so much credibility with people because he's just Israel first.
No, absolutely. But you know, to this point, Ghuydar, also what you're going to find is that most of the Muslims that are doing this are only speaking to the Muslim audience. Like these people consistently are speaking to a very wide ranging audience.
Interesting.
So, we need someone who can actually speak to a wide ranging audience, who's a normal, nice human being, who has a personality, and can just talk and is clearly Muslim. Doesn't mean clearly Muslim that they have to wear, as a male, something on their head, but whatever it may be.
Funny thing is when I went down the rabbi rabbit hole, Ben Shapiro is not respected amongst rabbis. He's considered like a heretic type of fake Orthodox.
Interesting.
Yeah, like there's videos about him. When a speaker gets popular in America and like is on the news and stuff, if someone on the side in the little corner is going to make a video about how bad he is, how wrong he is, how heretical he is, the same thing happens to him. So he's got a whole slew of rabbis who are, this guy's fake. He contradicts orthodoxy and like this, and then they clip him up and stuff like that. So within his world, they're trying to tear him down too in his little Jewish world.
It's interesting, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts on all these guys because I know that you're very active also in the podcasting realm and seeing it. And I always say, like, where's the Muslim who can speak to the very wide ranging audience as well?
Yeah. We do talk to our own little community mainly, and I think because we didn't align ourselves with the politics. Keep in mind, these guys align themselves with what's out there.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. We're people who say, you know what? I don't care what they say. Here's what the Quran says.
Yes.
Right? But the amount of people entering Islam that you're seeing online, the youth, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like I recently deleted my Instagram app again. Like I delete it every few months just because
it's too much.
It's too much distraction. But when you click 1 or 2 or 3 converts, your algorithm kicks in and it's like, there's a wave.
Yeah.
Then that's only the people online.
Yeah.
And they're all under 25 and they're from all sorts of backgrounds. And it's like this stuff, Islam usually happens really below the radar.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because people are looking for a purpose in life that goes beyond work.
Yeah.
Like, is my identity in life, what I produce at work only? And then it may be initially, and people get happy with it for a certain period of time. And then that paradigm will come crashing down.
Yeah.
It's the sunnah of Allah and His creation. And then you'll find that everything that you poured your life into, it
was a waste.
It was a waste. They fired you. Head AI researcher, gone.
Yeah.
And then you're like, who am I? What am I? The thing that I attached my identity to is no longer, it's become quicksand.
There's a guy recently I read about, poor guy, insurance agent. He was like weeks in front of before retirement and they cut him.
See?
So he went nuts and he got a heart condition.
See?
And then he's like, he went into the hospital and they refused to cover it.
Oh my goodness.
His own insurance company that he worked 35 years with.
Comes crashing down.
Yeah, it comes crashing down. And this guy's like seriously has a serious void, needs serious pastoral help.
Yeah. And that's what, human beings, we all need that ultimate connection with the divine. And that's why, everyone's searching for something. They're searching for meaning in life. Like Imam Ghazali did himself. Yeah. Even with all his ilm, like, who am I? What am I?
That's why somebody recently said to me, like they study so well, they attend everything. And then they surprised me with a question. They feel like, they said, I feel like I have no relationship with Allah. I was like, oh, we never taught you about dhikr. Like you know about Islam.
Yeah,
you know a lot about Islam, but you don't know Allah. Allah is not known solely through reading. Mainly Allah is known through ibadah.
You see, Abu Hamid actually says this in the Ihya. And he says this, I think it's in his Kitab al-Tawheed. he says something to the extent, and I'm paraphrasing, and someone out there can look it up, like, take it from the one, i.e. himself, who has gone into the depths of kalam who's reached the depths of kalam that no one else can reach or will reach. Allah is not known through this.
Subhanallah.
And this comes from Sidi Muhammad.
Yeah.
He's known through ibadah. And I even actually, this is a funny conversation, I even found myself when I was so steeped in kalam that like I felt distant from Allah in some regards.
Ajib.
Like there was some hardening process that I found happening within me, that this was acquiring more, but this was constricting.
Subhanallah.
And I said, okay, there's some imbalance there in terms of that means by ibadah.
Yeah.
And so,
if you have a sheikh who, let's say, to put it in a food analogy,
right,
this person's body can tolerate a lot of meat, and his tongue doesn't need a lot of salt. So his restaurant is going to have that.
Yeah.
So the people whose bodies are like him,
yeah,
the temperaments are like him, they'll love his restaurant.
That's true.
Then someone who says, I can't digest this beef so well, and I need some salty food, they're not going to like it. They're going to get sick in his restaurant, right? So same thing with shuyukh is the same thing. And a lot of people, when they're studying, when they come upon a new spice, they just like drown that spice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I discovered cinnamon. Yeah. Everything has cinnamon, right? Then discovered
cinnamon in coffee, cinnamon in your own.
Yeah,
cinnamon.
and you discovered
Old Bay in Maryland,
all that stuff. You discover something new like avocados. Everything's avocados, right?
Yeah.
But after 30 years of studying food, now you know. Okay, put that down. Not yet. Don't use that yet. Use this spice. Use this spice. The real veterans, you see them. They can have everyone as a customer.
Yeah.
Because this one, okay, don't put salt in his food.
Yeah.
Give him more avocado. This one, pile on the chicken. This one, pile on the vegetables.
Yeah.
Those are the real ones.
It's true. It's very true. And that's why we have such a variety of individuals with a variety of needs. How are we doing, Ghuydar, with time?
Yeah, we're doing good, inshallah.
I wanted to ask one more question,
Yes,
though.
sir.
Back to memory lane.
Yeah.
Ali Tamimi.
Ali Tamimi, Ali Tamimi was here. I used to attend some of his lectures. I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I had just moved. This was like in 2000 from upstate New York, the real New York, Albany, New York, to Northern Virginia. And I was attending the Adams Center. It's like 2000. Yeah, 2000. Yeah. And I'm regular at the masjid. Yeah, that's where Imam Majid, the Adams Center at the time. And this man comes up to me. He says, Assalamu alaikum. He's like, you new here? He's like, yeah. I said, great. My name is so-and-so. He's like, meet me Friday night for Salat al-Maghrib and let's go out to dinner. I was like, that's so nice of you. Wow. I was so happy. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, this guy here is going to take me out to dinner. She's like, oh, nice people. I'm like, nice people. So we show up, Salat al-Maghrib, and then there's like 4 other guys there with me. And then he's like, come in my car. I'm like, oh, I thought it was just me and you. I was like, am I hurt? We were going to be friends. He's like, oh no, we're going to go.
Was he in imam position at the time?
No.
You just viewed
just
him as a regular
guy I met at the masjid.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. And so we get in the car and we start driving from, it was Herndon at the time, to Falls Church. And then he pulls up to Dar al-Arqam. I said, what's this? He said, oh, it's our masjid, our small masjid. I'm like, I thought we were going out to dinner. He's like, yeah, we're going to have dinner here. I said, what are all these cars? What's going on here? He's like, oh, there's a lecture. And after the lecture, we'll have dinner and then I'll drive you back.
Okay. So you got bait and switched.
I got bait and switched.
Okay.
And I walk in there and who is it? It's Ali Tamimi giving a lecture. So, I think he's still in prison, I believe.
I think he's in prison.
Yeah.
I remember someone gave me some of his old CDs on Lumat al-I'tiqad. My impression was that this guy is really smart. And I came upon that he's more on the Mu'tadil side.
Look, they did him dirty with everything that went down. I mean, I'm not saying that his thoughts and ideas were thoughts or ideas that, in any way, shape, or form we agree with, but even from a legal standpoint, like I remember they brought up when this whole thing happened with him, they brought up, he did a tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha. Yeah. And he gave the traditional tafsir, al-Maghdubi alayhim wa al-Dhalin, and that was like used as evidence against him. And so it was something crazy at the time. Crazy. No, look, even Muhammad al-Shareef, rahmatullahi alayhi. Muhammad Shareef and I, we were buddies, very close friends. And so I remember I used to drive a a Civic Si coupe, that electric. It was a 96 Civic Si coupe, like electric.
Flexing now. Flexing.
I'm just saying. And Muhammad's car broke down for a couple of weeks. And so he borrowed my car. Like him and I were close, but he knew my traditional positions. This is like even before he started Al-Maghrib. And I remember at times, like, he'd do lectures. I'm like, what's this Aqidah lecture? He's like, oh yeah, Moutasem, you don't want to listen to that one. He's like, you're not going to, because he was very chilled out, And I remember I went to the Hajj, I think it was in 2001 or 2002 with him. And a lot of these young students at the time that were at Al-Madina University, who are now mashayikh and who have changed their positions, I met them there, and oh man, it was something tough. And so he took me to dinner with a few of the big mashayikh of nowadays. I'm not going to mention their name. And before we went to dinner, he says, Moutasem, listen to me. He's like, you're my friend. He's like, I ask you, I'm going to our friend's house. I just want to bring you along. Please don't get into a fight with them. Oh my God. And so I get in there and we're having dinner, and Shaykh Muhammad, rahmatullah alayh, he's catching up with them, and he says to them, so guys, how have things been in Medina al-Munawwara? This is literally what happens. And then I wish I could mention his name. I can't. I'll take permission from him one day. Sheikh so-and-so is saying, he's like, everything's great except for the Sufi problem that we have here.
Oh my God.
And Muhammad looks at me.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what Sufi problem do you have here? And what's wrong with the Sufis?
Yeah. Tell me so we can go to some gatherings.
And it became like, Muhammad's like, please, everyone, not now.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, there are individuals that are mu'tadilin.
Yeah.
Even if they have positions that differ, alhamdulillah, it happens. It's okay. It's just, for me, it's when your theological positions, Sufi or Salafi, because we have a lot of traditionalists. I'm sorry, they have no akhlaq. No moral character. Just like we would bash the Salafis and say they don't have moral character.
I think character it's a different subject.
It is the theory. Subject, right? Yeah. So like I say to some of my colleagues, I'm like, you know what you are? You just use Sufism as a sword to slay others with.
Yeah. And
to make yourself feel like you're high and mighty because you have access to this ulum.
Or kalam.
And you haven't even tasted what it really means.
Yeah.
All of this ilm is a tool. It's a tool.
It's a means. Yeah.
It's a means. And what's that means is to get us to Allah Azza wa Jalla.
Yeah.
Ma'rifatullah. And so if I get stuck at the tool and the tool starts to cause me all these other issues, and I've got a big problem on my hands.
That's like you went to a restaurant and you're being fed a diet that's not suitable to you.
All right.
Right. Some people, they need to be there. There's a lot of teachings in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you need certain other teachings. You keep loading one kind of teaching on someone, that person's going to become imbalanced. Well, imbalance is going to show in their interactions. If they only know how to interact with one type of person and they can't interact with another type of person, that's a sign of the imbalance.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true for on the teaching level, but also on the, the studentship level. I would also say, like, we learn to practice. We learn to practice. Al-ilm yunadi al-amal.
Yeah.
That's like, if you have all this knowledge and it's just about like the treasure box of what it is, and I'm not getting up for Salat al-Fajr, or I'm like rude to my mom when she calls me up and asks me for a favor, or like my kids are scared to me, or my friends are like, man, you're so hard to be around. Like, there's a problem going on there. Yeah. And so, this is supposed to be a heart softener, and these ulum are supposed to help us crawl and journey and walk at one point and run to the ma'rifah, the experiential knowledge of Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. So, we have to be very, very careful. How many of the Sahaba were ulama?
Very few.
Very few. How many of them were awliya?
All of them. SubhanAllah.
Yeah. And so that says a lot right there. But what I sort of have noticed in the past 25 years, we've equated religiosity with level of scholarship.
Yeah.
And I think that's not a correct equation.
Yeah.
And so we have to be very, very. So Ahmed Fahmy is a dear friend of mine. Beloved friend, and he coined something when we were in Turkey. We were living in Turkey together. You know how we have in Arabic al-alim al-rabbani, the saintly scholar. So Ahmed, being a consultant, he coined this phrase al-amil al-rabbani.
SubhanAllah.
The saintly worker.
That's true.
The saintly doer. Yeah, and I thought that was amazing.
So, and you need like 90% of that.
That's
and
where
10% of the people who know the books.
Absolutely, Habib. You know, how many ulama are actually out there? So
like
few.
how many people design GPSs and how many people drive cars?
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. And so you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be someone who is an usher, you can be someone who is anything and still have a heart that is completely beating Allah, Allah, Allah at all moments of time. And you can be an alim who has a heart that beats Allah, Allah. And it can be the opposite. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to be very careful in thinking that I have to be a scholastic scholar to journey to Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. And so that's just some of the thoughts I have on the topic.
Barakallahu fikum. Yeah, we are closing in on our informal session, mashallah. I'm so happy to, have you both with us, alhamdulillah. Any other last comments we can maybe just say?
SubhanAllah, I'm sitting here with my beloved Shaykh Shadee, and his father just recently passed away, rahmatullah alayh. I called Shaykh Shadee and I was telling him when I was in New Jersey, like 25 years ago, at a picnic with all of these ammus. And I was sitting there and I was like, what am I doing here? And all these ammus are like chit-chatting with each other. Like Shaykh Shadee's dad was the only one that acknowledged me. And he sat there and he talked to me and we spoke for such a long time. And I see him, and that made a huge impact. So may Allah enter him into Jannat al-Firdaus, Ya Rabbi.
Thank you.
May Allah give him the highest forms of rahmah, Ya Rahman.
Likewise to your father who passed away almost, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah. SubhanAllah.
May Allah have mercy on them, Ya Rab. Jazakumullah khair for being with us. And on this beautiful note, inshallah, we would like to thank Dr. Shadee Elmasry for being with us. Jazakumullah khair. And please, if you like this episode of ImanWire, please join us by sharing it. And may Allah, inshallah, put us on all paths of khair. Inni ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.